over the next let's say 18 months, right? We're going to see robotaxi show up in a lot more cities than it's in right now, right? So that's going to create excitement. That's going to teach people that FSD is here and is something to be experienced or owned. So I would expect Tesla sales to start going up from where they are right now. I would also expect to see the take-up rate of FSD to start going up over the next 18 months. So by the end of next year, right? Um, the Optimus, you're going to see a lot of breakthroughs in robotics from Tesla and others. But they're not going to be generalized in 18 months, but they are going to start doing more and more. So start thinking about the factories. How many people work at each factory? What kinds of jobs are going on in those factories? What percentage of jobs can an optimist do in 18 months that it can't do today? It's going to be more. It's maybe 1% of the jobs, maybe even still 0.5%, but it's not going to be 0.0001%, right? So we're going to start seeing optimists become more capable, and breakthroughs happening that gets people excited.
What point is that, Robert? I'm sorry, just to clarify.
I'm just talking about the next 18 months, next year and a half, right? You're going to start seeing more and more excitement about robotics happening in the world for a lot of reasons, not just there's a lot of companies working on robotics that aren't Tesla, right? You're going to see a lot of excitement. You're going to see humanoid robots start walking around streets, right? And you're seeing that in China, right? The Unitree is walking around. It's just not very capable. It doesn't do anything other than walk around and run around, right? It can't come in and cook dinner for you. But you are going to see more excitement, and that's going to start getting people go, oh, okay, the Optimus is actually going in a good direction, right? And that gets people excited. We've talked a little bit about the power walls and the electrical, batteries. That'll continue growing at a pretty good rate. Semi-trailer, we haven't talked about the trucking side of Tesla. You're going to start seeing more and more trucks, electric trucks, at least in America, driving around, right? So that more people will get excited by that and see that there's a business happening there. So 18 months, I think we're in a different world in 18 months than we are today.
What do you think
plus, if Elon calms down his politics, well, he's going to be weird on politics. But
yeah.
Let me, if you don't mind, sorry, I'll go 2 seconds just to clarify Robert's points. Robert, just focusing solely on Optimus, along the 7-year period, when do you see it contributing to the stock price? Just kind of having a, big enough impact on revenue or excitement or whatever, where, that's what I'm trying to gauge, rather than look at the 7-year period in terms of its capabilities at that point.
I think over the next 7 years, you're going to see more and more excitement, or more and more capabilities. Let's put it that way, of the robot. So that gets investors excited. Each time the thing comes out and shows off it can do more things, more people are going to go, oh shit, this Optimus is starting to happen, right? So this is why it's short term. It's hard to gauge what to do. If you're going to only invest in for a month, I don't know what to invest in. I can tell you, hold the stock for a decade, you're going to do fine, right?
Yeah. Do you guys think that the California, one thing I keep asking myself is, I wonder if the California permitting is going to go okay. Like I think it should be okay, right, for robotaxi. What do you guys think about that?
Well, Waymo's driving around California, and we all know Tesla's pretty good. And if you say, it still makes mistakes here and there, yeah, it still does once in a while. How long do those mistakes stay in the system? 6 months, 3 months, 8 months, right? Yeah. It's getting pretty good. Even on my Hardware 3 car, I drove me all around San Francisco Bay Area last night. It's pretty good. It does make a mistake here and there, but AI gets rid of mistakes over time, right? That's a huge advantage of Tesla, because they have 10 million vehicles on the road. Let's say 20% of those have FSD, or 15%, whatever the number is. They're adding a lot of data to the system to fix mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, and I can comment, Gothic. I can definitely comment to your question on regulation. So what I can say about the law in the United States is that if there isn't a law against it, it is legal. That's how law works in the United States. And if you look, nobody's written any laws really about self-driving cars. So the self-driving cars, the robo-taxi, I don't think we're going to have any issues with. I think where we come up to some issues is when you look at cybercab and deleting the steering wheel, because even in Texas, there is a little bit of a barrier, and you got to look at every level of government for this. If you look at Texas, it is the state inspection for cars that requires a steering wheel. That's the little speed bump. Everything else allows for no steering wheel. So, when they change or augment that, then we can delete the steering wheel. But robotaxi currently functions on the Model Y Juniper, and that has a steering wheel. So I think that there isn't really going to be a barrier so much for robotaxi, because largely it's already legal. I think it's just going to be that steering wheel delete.
Like any kind of capricious litigation, because it's a democratic.
No, and you know what? We can thank Waymo for that, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm not a fan of Waymo, but I appreciate that they went forward first, because they've already had to deal with all that, and they're operating in a lot of areas without any problems. And there was a comment I wanted to make earlier about the robots. And it's like sometimes people don't like that there's competition or there's other robots out there, but I have to tell you, China putting out the Unitree robot and all these robots is going to push our government to want to beat them, because we are in an AI race with China. And I think that it's actually an advantage to Tesla that these robots are coming out in China, because our leaders are going to see like, oh, China's beating us. And I think they're going to loosen up any barriers there may be for robots. So I think that's actually a positive.
Totally true. I did a lot of consumer research about 12 years ago, going around America, asking people, are you willing to get in a car without a steering wheel? And everybody, including in the SF, said no. It was the most violent no of my career. I study how consumers look at new technology, right? Yet now we have Waymo in San Francisco. I know a guy who's taken a Waymo every day to work for a year and a half already, right? So he's changed as a consumer. He's very willing to buy a car without a steering wheel, because he realizes AI has gotten to the place where it's trustworthy and it doesn't kill him on the way to work. And that same change is going to happen to a lot of people as robotaxi gets expanded to more and more cities over the next 18 months, right? If you try to regulate against autonomous cars, you're going to doom your community to a lot of tragedies. We all know this. FSD is not going to kill a lot of people. It might kill a few, right? It's still as early days. It still makes a mistake once in a while. Robotaxi in Austin had a minor accident, right? It still will have problems like that, but the mistakes are going to go down over the next 18 months. And so 18 months from now, we're going to have FSD that's very close to perfect, right?
If they issue legislation or rules against Tesla, they would have to do the same to Waymo and to the competition. They can't just single out. That's grounds for a lawsuit, I think, right?
Exactly. I love this so much. The conversation is on fire. Robert is like, everybody go follow him. This is the best. Just calm and peaceful and all the knowledge.
In 18 months, we're going to have a cybercab on streets, right?
Hell yeah.
And so when you start seeing the data from the cybercab, the cybercab that doesn't have the steering wheel, if a drunk driver hits you at 80 miles an hour in that car, there's no steering wheel to crush your chest. So they can have a much bigger airbag across the dash in front of you. So it's going to be a safer vehicle when something like that does happen. And that's going to show up in the stats. It might take another year for it to really show up, but it's going to show up. So 36 months from now, we're in a completely different world where people are really starting to accept a car without a steering wheel. I want to buy one in the worst way, by the way, because I'm ready. I'm in. It's like, I mean, it does make mistakes still once in a while. So it's like, like I said, 18 months solves a lot of problems in AI.